Welcome to the Ventura Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Reverend Bonnie Rose. It is a delight to see you here, whether you're in person or whether you're online rather. You'd think I'd be used to this point. But anyway, welcome to our Divine Spiritual Center, our Kindness Cathedral, our mystical center of non-duality, whatever it is you want to call it. Let's just call it home, a center of love this morning. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Lonnie, our board president.
Good morning and welcome. What a beautiful day it is. And I do like the idea of getting in line.
Yeah, for what?
I don't know.
Okay.
Well, you know, you have to maintain the 6 feet.
Oh, well, there's that.
Yeah, no crowding.
Right.
But welcome. We have a special morning for you, as always, with some beautiful music. And we're all going to pray for peace outside of our center, because there's been some construction noise. Not that I love a little construction noise.
I know you love construction noise. Why don't you go out and supervise them?
I could do that.
Yeah.
So anyway, just settle in. We're going to have some fun this morning. It's such a beautiful day to join in our spiritual home.
Thank you, Lonnie. Bill Hadris is with the Boy Scouts in San Croix, whatever, however you say it, the Virgin Islands. So I'm a little jealous, but I think we should just do the children's blessing. So knowing that there are children, anybody who has children, or if there are any children watching this morning, if you could just place your hands over your heart and repeat after me. We love you. We bless you. We believe in you. You are the face of God. And so it is. We send that message. We send that message to all children everywhere. I got to work on my timing a little bit today. I'm a little off. So, okay. Speaking of timing, here's Deborah Gibson, our practitioner, and she is going to lead us in prayer.
Good morning. So we're asking all of the practitioners and ministers in our center that are here and at home or online, wherever they are, to stand up. Just letting you know that we are all praying for you every day. So we come into this beautiful sacred time, this time of being together on this beautiful sunny Sunday morning, just knowing that there is one life, and that life is God, and that life is our life now. It is your life, it is my life, it is all of our lives. It is the lives of the stars and the planets, our solar system, Mother Earth. It's the lives of all the humans on this planet, all the plants on this planet, all the animals on this planet, all the rocks and minerals on this planet, all of the oceans and mountains. All of the beauty is an expression of the divine in so many beautiful and unique ways. So we recognize that that spirit of life is the indwelling nature of who we are. And we allow that to shine this morning and always. This is a time that we can come together and let go of outside concerns and just remember that that life of spirit within us is so beautiful, so great. It is calling to us, and we are allowing ourselves to think it, to take action, and to be it. So this beautiful, blessed service, I am so grateful for our beautiful minister, Reverend Bonnie Rose, and all of the wonderful things she brings to us, her ability to allow the presence of God to pour through her into this center, into this community, into our hearts, into this morning, to all the people that made this service happen, from those people that swept the floors and are working on all of the computer stuff and sound stuff, of our wonderful musicians, our guest musician, our pianist, our band, our beautiful choir that isn't singing, I don't think, this morning, but they are working every day. To all of our beautiful people, the practitioners, and all of the people in this church who are praying every day or often or as much as they can to create good on this planet in their lives, in each of our lives. So we're just knowing that our lives are eternal. Our lives have always been, are now, and always will be. And in this joy of living and being, we open up this time to to receive the grace of God pouring in like the rain. And I am so, so grateful for everyone here, for the beautiful presence of God, for the wonder of life itself. And I take my word, I place it into the law, knowing that it's heard it so, and together we say, and so it is.
Thank you, Deborah. So let us continue to breathe deeply and remain in that beautiful spaciousness that Deborah brought us to with her eloquence. And we inhale and we exhale, we relax our bodies. We let go of everything that came before this moment. We let go of inner and outer distractions. And we just allow ourselves to be as we listen to the words of our sacred reading.
An excerpt from The Way of Liberation by Adyashanti. Many people think that it is the function of a spiritual teaching to provide answers to life's biggest questions. But actually, the opposite is true. The primary task of any good spiritual teaching is not to answer your questions, but to question your answers. For it is your conscious and unconscious assumptions and beliefs that distort your perception and cause you to see separation and division where there is actually only unity and completeness. The reality that mystical teachings are pointing toward is not hidden or secret or far away. You cannot earn this reality, deserve it, or figure it out. At this very moment, reality and completeness are in plain sight. In fact, the only thing there is to see, hear, smell, taste, touch, or feel is reality. Or God, if you like. Absolute completeness surrounds you wherever you go. So there is really no reason to bother yourself about it, except for the fact that we humans have long ago deceived ourselves into such a confined tangle of confusion and disarray that we scarcely even consider, much less experience for ourselves, the divinity within and all around us. The way of liberation is a call to action. It is something you do. It is a doing that will undo you absolutely. The way of liberation is not a belief system. It is something to be put into practice. In this sense, it is entirely practical. To study the way of liberation as a spectator would be to miss the point. Being a spectator is easy and safe. Being an active participant in your own awakening to truth is neither easy nor safe. The way forward is unpredictable. The commitment, absolute. The results, not guaranteed. Did you really think that it was going to be any other way?
Breathe into that reading. And just to amplify Adyashanti like he needs it. He doesn't really need it, but just so that we as a congregation can understand that the tangles of the confusion and the not having the answers and thinking that we have the answers and we don't, that's all God. It's all love. It couldn't be anything else. And so we might as well just enjoy the ride of self-discovery and, even more importantly, self-remembrance. Self-remembrance even when we don't remember. Self-remembrance even when it feels like we're the opposite of who we claim to be, the oneness and the power and the presence and the life of the one. Self-remembrance in all things, when life is joyful and when life is sorrowful. Because truly there is only one life, and that life is the life of love, and that life is our life right now. It couldn't be any other thing.
I've always sung this song for my daughter. I'd like to dedicate it to her. I can hear her heartbeat for 1,000 miles, and the heavens open every time she smiles. And when I come to her, that's where I belong. Yet I'm running to her like a river song. She give me love, 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 crazy love. She give me love, 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 crazy love. She got a fine sense of humor when I'm feeling low down, and when I come to her when the sun goes down. She takes away my trouble, takes away my grief. She takes away my heartache in the night like a thief. She give me love, 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 crazy love. She give me love, 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 crazy love. And I need her in the morning, and I need her in the night, and I want to wrap my arms around her and kiss her, hug her tight. And I need her in the morning, and I need her in the night, and I want to wrap my arms around her and kiss her, hug her tight. And when I'm returning from so far away, she gives me some sweet love, brightens up my day. And it makes me righteous, and it makes me whole, and it makes me mellow right down to my soul. She give me love, 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 crazy love. She give me love, 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 crazy love. She give me love, 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 crazy love. She give me love, 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 crazy love. Crazy love, crazy love. Thank you. Thank you so much.
So beautiful. Thank you, Mary, for our stagehand, too. Yay! All right. You know, I think, so a lot of times people in this denomination have come from spiritual teachings where they haven't felt served by certain dogmas and certain words and whatnot, and some people struggle with the word God. But what if we were to call God crazy love, right? Crazy love. Thank you so much for being. Thank you so much for being who I am. Thank you so much for expressing in every detail of my life. Crazy love, I love you, and crazy love, I know you love me. And so it is. Amen. Yeah. Now, for those of you who are familiar with the teaching, you may have noticed that I forgot to release the prayer into the mystery of the law, which means that it got stuck. But we'll do it again. We'll do it again, I promise. So anyway, the talk topic today is don't let your dogma mess with your karma, mess up your karma. Don't let your dogma mess up your karma. And I'm curious, how many of you have either ridden in my car or surreptitiously peeked in the window and seen what the inside of my car is like? Just to show. Okay. So the rest of you are, if this was a class, I'd have you all talk about what you saw. Yeah, I see you, Hugh. He's been riding in my car a lot. It is completely filled with dog hair and sand and dirt and sometimes a dead animal smell. Because as I said to Edwene Gaines, who's a famous spiritual writer when I picked her up at the airport, I have a very active lifestyle. Take my dogs lots of places. So funny, I have my car. So my dogs mess up my car a lot, and sometimes my karma. But I had it detailed the other day. And I was talking to these sweet, I'm going to call them boys because I'm old. They're in their 30s. But so, when you're in your 60s, everybody under 40 or so is like, oh, you sweet young man, I just want to pinch your cheek. So I went up and I spoke to the boys, and I'm like, guys, I'm so sorry it's so bad. Is it horrible? And they kind of rolled their eyes, and one of them said, yeah, you have the trifecta, dog hair, animal smell, and sand. I'm like, I know. And then to make myself feel better, I said, well, is mine the worst car you've ever done? And I was so happy to hear that I come in third after, well, they do a lot of Uber cars where somebody calls the car if they're drunk, so there's a bit of, let's call it hurlage in the back seat sometimes. So I come in after that, and dead bodies. Sometimes I get a car with a dead body in it. So I was kind of proud of myself that my car is not as bad as a car where somebody has vomited or died. So there's that. Anyway, I digress, because we're talking about not letting your dogma mess up your karma. And I want to tell a story about how my karma almost got messed up by my dogma. Some of you have heard this before, but never in this context. This happened shortly after the Thomas fires. And I was with a good friend who lived on the top of Sulphur Mountain, and there was a lot of fire up in Sulphur Mountain Road, as you may have remembered. And so we were, I don't know, a week or so in, and we had to go up there to see if his house had burned down. And we were driving up, and we transcended several police barriers and talked them into letting us get up there. And there were fallen trees and small fires everywhere, and some of the houses were standing, and some of the houses were not standing. They were partially standing. They were completely burnt to the ground. And we drove, and we drove, and we drove, and we were almost at the place where we needed to go. And we stopped because there was this electrical wire across the road, and it was about this high or so. And just as we drove up the mountain, this guy was coming down the mountain, and he stopped also. And all of us got out of our car, and we looked at the electrical wire. So the guy that we were speaking to, let's call him Paul, because that's his name. So we've actually become friends. He's like a kind of a burly guy, and he knows about construction and stuff, and he's a contractor, and I'm trying to fix him up with someone in the church, but she's not biting. But anyway, that's another story. Anyway, Paul said, here's what we do. That's not a live wire. You stand on it, and I'll drive over it. Heard that. And then when you get out of your car, and I'll stand on it, and you drive over it. This is where my dogma kicked in. This man with authority wants me to do something. I like to please people. Who here is a people pleaser? I tend to kind of have this knee-jerk reaction when somebody wants me to do something, unless they're close to me, live with me. I tend to want to do what they want me to do. So I felt my brain say, okay, I'm going to step on that wire, and I felt my legs start to go. And then my dogma switched off, and my karma changed, because I said a fateful sentence to Paul the enforcer. I said, Paul, you go first. And he did not get electrocuted, and then I did it for him, and it was fine, and we went our separate ways. But, that moment of realizing when our story is affecting our actions. That's when your dogma is messing with your karma, right? You know, my dogma was I have to do what this person wants me to do because he knows more about it than I do, even though I really didn't want to do it. So I started to do it, and then something switched, and I realized that I did not have to follow my dogma. I could create a new karma, one where I did not get electrocuted. Thank you. So that's what today is about, is to notice where we may have some internal dogmas that are messing with us, that are messing up our karma, that are messing up our pathway in life, and seeing how we might be able to flip that and do something differently. This talk is really about freedom. It's really about freedom, and really about understanding that in whatever we encounter, whether it feels good or bad, there's always a better way to be with something. You know, right now I'm a little distracted by the noise out there. It's drilling. But instead of getting irked about it, well, first I blamed Kenny. I thought it was a sound thing, which is always good. Always good to blame the sound man when something doesn't sound right in the house. But I went out there and I just talked to the guys for a minute and I said, guys, you are going to hear some great music today. And they said, oh, good, it's a church. Will you pray for us? Of course we'll pray for you. You know? So those guys that are making noise, they could be a distraction or they could be lost souls looking for prayer. I prefer the latter. Instead of having the dogma telling me that they're an annoyance and acting from that place, I'm having the new vision that they are people that are just like me, that want prayer and that want to be loved, and I can set a new cause in motion, which is to just love them and pray for them and understand that the noise is not bigger than the message, right? You know, during the pandemic, there was lots of talk about I can't come to church if I wear a mask, you know, because I can't worship with a mask on. How powerful is that little piece of cloth, you know? Okay, don't get me started on that. That's a topic right now. We'll get to that later, maybe on. But, okay, so I want to talk a little bit about dogma and karma and what it really is. So I looked up dogma on the internet, and just so I made sure that I was speaking about what it is and correctly. And generally it's defined as an indisputable truth. An indisputable truth, or something that we believe is an indisputable truth. It doesn't necessarily have to be true, but it's something that we believe is an indisputable truth. I also looked it up on urbandictionary.com. Do you know that site? It's kind of a contemporary site that's kind of cool. It has fun definitions, and it said, dogma is what a puppy calls its parent. So I rather like that definition, but they also said that it's a truth that we hold that is not open for discussion. It is the truth, and it is the truth, and we believe that truth, and we act like that truth is true, even if it's not really true, right? There's all kinds of dogma. How many of us have been subject to religious dogma? Just a show of pinkies. You don't have to raise your whole hand if you want. You can show. It's so funny, when I say a show of pinkies, it's supposed to be private in case you don't want anybody to know, but I'm always like, see people out there like this. Show of pinkies, yes. So many of us have been subject to religious dogma, things that, that people say are true, and we act like they're true because somebody in authority has said it, kind of like Paul telling me to step on the wire, you know? He happened to be right about that, but I could name so many dogmas that I've heard from people from this center and people that I just know in my life, and I don't particularly want to bag on any particular religion, but have you heard the joke? Why do Southern Baptists forbid premarital sex? Because it might lead to dancing. And I apologize to any of the Southern Baptists in the house. I know that there are two that I can see from here, and if anybody else is, I feel you. But anyway, so we carry around a lot of dogma like that, and there are far more serious dogmas that we carry about, bigotry and stories that we tell ourselves. But that's one of them. But there's also this whole thing of like socio-political dogma that is getting so exposed right now. It's on my mind because I have to do an interview on Tuesday where this person wants to interview me about the divisiveness in our society. I'm like, how will I fix it? I'm like, great. Because, you know, if you go, I don't go on Facebook very much, but I hear that there's still a lot of bickering back and forth on Facebook about various things. And I do go on Nextdoor Views sometimes, which is just a big complaint fest most of the time. And most of it is about, you know, pandemic-related things, politics. And oddly, in Santa Paula, there's a lot of bickering back and forth about firecrackers, about fireworks. And people are so sure that they are right, and there's no listening to the other. And the thing is that when you're wrapped up in dogma, you don't know that it's dogma. You don't know that it's dogma. It's just something that you believe. So I look at that. What? Your dog knows, of course. You look at that and you see that maybe I'm doing this too about some of the stories I tell myself. You know, that to me is kind of what we target here in this spiritual center, in this teaching, is that we look at our own personal dogmas. What are we telling ourselves? And what are we holding as an indisputable truth about ourselves? So, you know, I just described the one in my story about Paul where I have to please people in order to be acceptable, right? Another dogma that a lot of people carry, I encounter people with this all the time, is this dogma that we tell ourselves that somehow we're fundamentally flawed, that somehow we're separate from God, that somehow we are not enough, and we have to prove to the entire world or to anybody in our purview that we are more than enough, or that we are enough, or that we're even barely acceptable. That's a dogma that we carry. That's a dogma that we carry a lot. Many people carry that dogma. So if you would, take a moment and see if there's a place in your life that doesn't feel good, if there's a place in your life that feels impossible, if there's a place in your life where it feels like you're stuck or hurting, and just wonder with me if maybe there is some unconscious dogma playing itself out there in that place in your life, playing itself out. A thing that you're telling yourself about yourself that you're believing, a thing that you're telling yourself about the world that you're believing, and just see if that's something that you can, at least for now, small steps, just look at. In the reading, it said that religion sometimes feels like it's providing all the answers, but really the function of religion is to question all the answers, right? So question what you're holding as a dogma and think about how there might be a better way. The other thing, too, is that we have personal dogmas, but we also have what in this teaching we call race consciousness, which means human race consciousness, things that we all hold, things that we just take for granted as true. This is revealing as to how strange I am, but that shouldn't be a surprise to any of you. I have, as you know, some of you know, I talk about it a lot, that I have what I think most people would call insomnia almost every night, but I don't really call it that anymore because I wake up happy and curious. I think of insomnia as a bad thing. I wake up happy and excited to look something up online or write something or think deep thoughts or listen to a meditation tape or something. But the other day I woke up happy and excited, and I wanted to research a store that I knew when I lived in North Carolina. The Piggly Wiggly. Okay, question, Linda Drevenstedt and others. How many of you have ever shopped at the Piggly Wiggly? Oh, yeah, Jeff from North Carolina. Yeah, yeah. And I just wondered, I don't know what made me think of the Piggly Wiggly, but I wondered if it was still around, you know, because it's got a really odd name. And I don't know whether it's I think there's a few states in the north that have it, but it's mostly in the south. And I remember shopping there when I lived in North Carolina and just being tickled going in there because of the name. So I looked it up to see if it was still around. And do you want to hear something awesome about Piggly Wiggly? Yes, he said with great enthusiasm. So Piggly Wiggly was the first self-serve grocery store ever. So you think back, I didn't know this, but I didn't know this. When you think back, like think about if you ever watched Little House on the Prairie, right? And they go to the Olsen store, Nellie Olsen, the real, you know, whatever, I don't want to say the word, but they go to her parents' store and they ask for what they want. Ma and Pa and Laura and the other one ask for what they want, and the proprietors get the stuff for them. That's how all grocery stores used to be. And the guy who developed Piggly Wiggly said, we're not going to do that anymore. So it was this dogma. There was a pigma. It was this incontrovertible truth that a grocery store had to be like this. But then this guy changed it. He looked at that dogma and said, maybe there's a better way. And when I look at this on a more global level, right now we're having this dogma, perhaps, that we are divided and that there's no solution and that we don't know what to do about all of the arguing that's going on, and there's such a broad platform for it right now. Maybe that's dogma too. This we are divided and we don't know what to do about it. Maybe there is a solution to it. Maybe there is a better way, and we just don't know what it is yet. We get to open ourselves up to receive that, and then, as the reading said, start living like that truth or solution or spiritual approach is true. And I don't know what that is yet, but I know when I'm doing this interview on Tuesday, I'm going to be talking about that we don't know how this is all going to turn out, all of this divisiveness. And that if maybe we could open up, moving beyond the level of the consciousness that caused the problem, moving into a greater consciousness, maybe something will shift. And maybe even what's happening now is a blessing. And the truth is, when I look at this, I've been listening to some strange pop culture things lately, some things about Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton, and how people attacked Elizabeth Taylor. Hugh actually used to know them, and he would go out with them, and they'd get into the limousine, and Elizabeth Taylor would say people were grabbing at her fur coat, trying to take a piece of it, And I just read about Johnny Mathis and how he sort of accidentally was betrayed. He came out of the closet not on purpose, and people were giving him death threats, And I think that this consciousness has been going on for so long, but maybe because we have these social media platforms and it's being so exposed, maybe this is an opportunity to really look at our dogma about disagreement and set a new karma in motion, set a new path in motion. Which brings me to karma, which I meant to talk about a lot earlier. A lot of people, there are many, many different definitions of karma, and I'm going to go with the science of mind definition of karma, which I have been all along in this talk. Ernest Holmes, right there, black and white, says, karma is the law of cause and effect. The law of cause and effect is karma. You set a cause, perhaps the cause is dogma, and you set a cause in motion and it has the results. He talks a lot about our thought creates our reality. And I usually say the quality of our thinking creates the quality of our experience, so people don't get too literal about it. And honestly, it's more than our thought. I think Ernest Holmes always urged us to be open at the top and to accept new ways of expressing these invincible spiritual truths. I listened to an Esther Hicks thing yesterday. Esther Hicks, who channels Abraham, who's a mystic from the other side, and she was talking about karma, and she said karma is your vibrational level. So you attract that which matches your vibrational level. And I think that when we talk about the science of mind, or when we talk about the word, or when we talk about the mind in, let the mind of Christ be in you, whatever that quote is from the Bible, we're really talking about more than just our thinking, right? We're talking more about our vibrational level, our whole being. And so our vibrational level, what we're vibrating at, and our thought certainly feeds that, that is what sets the wheels of karma in motion, and we experience that which matches our inner vibration, which is thought, emotion, being, action, all of those things. Jumping ahead a little bit, when I first started studying the science of mind, I used to think it was the science of my mind. I could figure my mind out, and then I could have whatever I wanted. Mind means God, or as we call it now, crazy love. Who's going to figure out the mind of crazy love? Not me, but I'm going to have fun trying to do it, and I'm going to try and stay away from dogma that prevents me from doing that, right? Speaking of dogma in religions, there is dogma in this religion too, and I also often try and challenge it, and I'm sure I've got my own dogmas. I have many dogmas, actually, but one of my beliefs about this religion is that we get a little bit rigid about the manifestation piece of it, that if we just think hard enough about it, or if we think long enough about something, or if we think correctly about something, then we can have whatever we want. And the truth is that we can have whatever we want, but what we really want is crazy love, right? And it's also this idea that we're going to do this thinking and this process and this praying, and we're going to have it somewhere down the line when we get our act together, when we get it right. But the truth is, I know this truth. You can ignore me if you feel like this is dogma. But the truth is that we have whatever we need right now, you know? It's that old Joel Goldsmith thing of that God cannot give us anything because God has already given us everything. And it's the Jesus thing of you cannot add 1 cubit to your stature because you already are everything. I read Little Soul in the Sun this morning before I came to church this morning. It's a children's book about this little kid that wants to come to earth and experience forgiveness, and God and all the angels around him are saying, but you already are everything. And he's like, yeah, but I want to experience it. I want to experience it. But he says, I'm going to need someone to forgive. And one of his friends comes to earth with him and says, I'm gonna make a sacrifice for you. I'm gonna make myself so bad that I'm gonna give you the opportunity to forgive me. But the only thing is that you have to remember who I am. Remember who I am. And that is some beautiful karma. That is some beautiful karma to take in and live and embody and allow that consciousness of forgiveness to fill every fiber of our being, including the people drilling out there who seem to have stopped. Thank you very much. Power of the law, people. The power of kindness. The power of shifting our dogma. And then everything works out because everything has already worked out. You know, there's these ideas in science of mind about the 4 kingdoms of consciousness, of how we work with the law, how we work with the law of cause and effect. And the first kingdom is where we feel like we are victimized by life, where we feel like we have no responsibility whatsoever for what happens to us, right? Something happens and it's that person's fault. I have to watch that all the time with the people that I observe sometimes on my little Nextdoor View app, where I find myself, I'm complaining about the complainers, and I have to back up and say, it's not the way to do it. Bless the complainers. Bless the complainers. So that's one thing. And when we let go of blame and shame and regret, we start to move into a second kingdom of consciousness, which is the consciousness of recognizing that it is done by me, that we do have some power, that we have the ability to shift our thinking, to shift our dogma, and to create results and to create happiness in our world. And again, it often looks like happiness down the line when we get it right, but really if we're doing it with the full intention of Ernest Holmes and the full intention of the mystics, if we shift our happiness, that's the answer right there. If we shift into a consciousness of joy, joy is what we get. And then the joy manifests in external representations, but it matters so much less because we've already shifted in consciousness. But the third and fourth kingdoms, when we let go of control, that kingdom too has a strong element of control in it. When we let go of control, we move into kingdoms 3 and kingdoms 4, which are so similar that I'm going to talk about them together. Kingdom 3 is recognizing that it is done through us, and kingdom 4 is recognizing that it is done as us. So in kingdoms 3 and kingdoms 4, we transcend the illusion of separation, and we allow this power and this presence that is greater than anything that we know, greater than anything that our small minds can fill us with, and we move into this place, and instead of saying there is a power for good and I can use it, we say, thank you, God, thank you, crazy love. There is a power for crazy love, and I allow it to use me. I allow it to use me in ways that are beyond my imagination. And that's when life really becomes beautiful. And my friends, that's the only dogma I want. That's the only dogma I want. And I hope for that dogma for all of you, should you decide to accept this mission. Is that mission impossible? Mission, I'm possible. Let's say it that way. Ooh. I didn't make that up. I stole that from somebody, by the way. But can we accept that mission? Can we accept that vision? Can we accept that dogma of recognizing that all is one, that God is all there is, that there is this perfection, that there is only consciousness, that there is only love, that there is only peace, and that peace and that love is longing to express through us? Can we accept that and allow that to be the only dogma that we need, and then apply it to every single situation in our life? You know, Jesus, one of our many teachers in this philosophy, said, these things ye shall do and more. And I think he probably wasn't talking about, he might have been, but raising people from the dead. I know Terry Cole Whitaker said she used to go around practicing on dead birds and whatnot, and saying, rise up. Don't know whether she was successful with that, but these things ye shall do and more, I think to me means to bring these principles into every single detail in your life, whether it seems petty or whether it seems huge. These principles are universal. There is no size in infinity. There is no small, there is no large. These principles apply to everything. And sometimes a thing that seems small to some people or that seems small to you, or that you're embarrassed by being upset by it because it seems so small, sometimes that, tapping into that and resolving that and finding a greater consciousness around that can change everything. There is no small in infinity. In fact, small is incredibly powerful. So that's, I think, what we do with this message. You know, I was rereading this poem from Rumi last night that I didn't write it down, so I don't remember it very well, but God is saying to Rumi, to us, basically, he's saying, you know, what should I bring you? I have nothing to give you. You have everything. Why should I bring gold to a gold mine when you already are the gold mine? Why should I bring fruit to that which is abundant? Why should I bring love to that which is already so loved? And God says, I didn't know what to get you, so I got you a mirror. Look in it and see who you really are. And that's the beauty of it. You know, our life is a mirror, your life is a mirror. You get to look in it, you get to see where that mirror is a little bit out of alignment. And, you know, if you've ever looked in the mirror and saw that your hair is all wonked out or whatever, or your eyelashes are sagging, for those of you who wear false eyelashes. Jim? No, kidding. You know, you don't touch the mirror and try and fix it, do you? You go to the source. You go to the source. So when we look at our life as a mirror and see that something is a little out of alignment, something is other than what we want, let us go back to that source and remember that only dogma that we need, the idea that there is one life. That life is perfect, inclusive of everything. That life is our life right now, and we can live like that truth is true. Let's practice that now, and let us pray. And so I turn within to recognize the power and the presence of crazy love. This crazy love that embraces us. This crazy love that loves us so deeply. That loves us, yet is not separate from us. This beauty, this power, this presence that is like ice and water. The water becomes form, becomes ice, but we cannot extract the water from the ice. It just is, and we just are. So I take that in for a moment. Take that in for a moment and just, we anchor in that knowing of our oneness through any tool that we have, most especially the breath. Breathing in and out and knowing that something greater than the small self breathes us. Breathes us, loves us, and guides us moment by moment, breath by breath, on the path to right alignment, righteousness, glory, grace, whatever it is you want to call it, crazy love, that we are all headed in the direction. We are all headed in that direction, and we get to decide how much joy we have on the pathway. And so today I claim joy. I claim love, I claim peace, I claim harmony, I claim happiness. I claim vision, the vision to see beyond opposites and the vision to see past appearances and the vision to know that everything that happens for us is a gift for us, to enlighten us and to wake us up to the greater power and presence of the living God that lives and moves and has its perfect being in each of us. Can we really get that? Can we get that today? Can we understand that this is who we are? And that everything else is superfluous. Everything else is lint. Everything else is just part of the picture, but not important. Can we get that we no longer need to empower that which is not important, and that we can move into this greater grace, this greater sense of well-being, and this greater sense of the truth that infuses and informs and enlightens every single aspect of our life, whether we call it large or small, it is there. So I'm just so grateful to surrender to this truth, so grateful for the privilege of speaking these words, so grateful for the privilege of standing here with all of you in this community, knowing that the grace of this center, that the kindness of the center, and that the mysticism of this center is not coming through any one person. It is a collective. It is a collective. And that as we work on ourselves, the light grows stronger, both inner and outer, and that all is well. I bless the spiritual center and every single person in it. I bless this teaching as I bless all paths to God, churches, synagogues, temples, mosques, ashrams, all paths. Fundamentalists, atheists, agnostics, everyone. And with a heart that is so filled with blessing, so filled with crazy love, I release these words into the divine mystery, and together we say, and so it is. Namaste.
This song is in Spanish, so I'm just going to quickly let you know what it's about. It was written by Violeta Parra in Chile a long time ago when women weren't expected to be songwriters or singers or an activist like she was. She was very, very courageous and wrote one of the most beautiful, iconic songs that's ever been written, Gracias a la vida. Thank you, life. Thank you, life, for the stars in the sky that light my way. Thank you, life, for the words that form these wonderful feelings in my heart. Thank you, life, for the song that I sing, that is not only my song, but it's your song, and it's the song that we all sing. Gracias a la vida. Gracias a la vida que me ha dado tanto, me ha dado la risa, me ha dado el llanto, y así yo distingo dicha de quebranto, los dos materiales que forman mi canto, y el canto de ustedes, que es el mismo canto. Gracias a la vida que me ha dado tanto, me dio dos luceros, que cuando los abro, perfecto distingo lo negro del blanco, y en el alto cielo su fondo estrellado, y en las multitudes el hombre que yo amo. Gracias a la vida que me ha dado tanto, me ha dado el sonido y el abecedario, con en las palabras que pienso y declaro, madre, amigo, hermano y luz alumbrando la ruta del alma del que estoy llamando. Gracias a la vida que me ha dado tanto, me dio el corazón que agita su marco cuando miro el fruto del cerebro humano, cuando miro el bueno tan lejos del malo, cuando miro el fondo de tus ojos claros. Gracias a la vida que me ha dado tanto, me ha dado la risa, me ha dado el llanto, y así yo distingo dicha de quebranto, los dos materiales que forman mi canto,
dueño de todos, que es mi propio canto. Gracias a la vida que me ha dado tanto, gracias a la vida por todo lo bueno, gracias a la vida, lo digo cantando, gracias a la vida y lo digo bailando, gracias, 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 gracias.
Thanks so much, you guys. Thank you, Perla and Chris and David. Thank you so much. David, it's great to have you back. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thanks. Okay, I just have a few announcements to do. Actually, I have a lot, but I'm going to go quick because, you know how it is. We've been sitting here a long time, right? Okay. Okay. Flowers are, may I have the envelope, please? Flowers are dedicated to, today's flowers were donated by Linda Drevenstedt in gratitude for the ritual clearing of Stanley's Hall in preparation for in-person classes beginning again soon. Thank you, Lita Martin. Yay! Thank you. And then we have a class going on right now. You've missed one already. They can still come in? Okay. It's a beautiful class, Ernest Holmes Meets the Buddha, which is awesome. It's taught by two of our fantastic teachers, Mary and David Kerrigan. I asked them how the first class went. They said it was wonderful. So you can go and sign up for that online. Linda Drevenstedt's going to come forward, I think, and give us a little chat about the self-mastery class. While she's on her way up, though, I just want to let you know that this Wednesday, we have a healing meditation at 6:30, and that is on Zoom, and it's facilitated by our award-winning, flower-winning Lita Martin. Linda, tell us about self-mastery.
Self-mastery. My sister's visiting from Atlanta. My sister is a ceramic kiln mechanic.
Wow.
The gift she brought me is a toolkit for my new sewing machine. And it just brought to mind that as we start our class on Tuesday, everything that Reverend Bonnie said today about crazy love and how to get there takes some tools sometimes, some spiritual tools along your spiritual path. So we've got 8 weeks full of spiritual tools to encourage the crazy love that lives inside of you and to let go of any dogmas that don't need to be with you any longer. Come with us. This is one of the 4-credit classes for your practitioner prerequisites, if that's something you're interested in. But it's a wonderful beginning class if you've never been to a class. We're going to be in person, lots of personal interaction and discussion with mask. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. And Linda, go ahead. I was just going to say something nice about you, and then they started clapping. So anyway, I was going to say Linda is also a fantastic teacher, and this is a really good class using a really great textbook, so it's wonderful. A couple of outreach outreaches when we serve the community. Family to Family is a feeding program, and they always need volunteers. Our church participates on the first Mondays of the month. There's information on the website about how to participate. Lift Up Your Voice is a housing program for those who are unfortunately unhoused, and they are always seeking donations of kitchen and bath items, small furniture, end tables, breakfast tables, chairs, bicycles, and Annette can help you, connect you. You don't have to bring it yourself. Somebody will come and pick it up for you. We are doing an underwear drive for Mercy House, so we want new, and I emphasize new, men and women's underwear of all sizes, including sport bras, to benefit the vulnerable and unhoused at the Arch Shelter. There's a receptacle in Martha's Hall with a very clever sign made by Annette that says, "Drop your underpants here." So if you see that sign, know that it's about the underwear drive. It's not about your current, okay, you get it, okay. Choir rehearsals for Hearts in Harmony are now in person and on Zoom, and they're rehearsing up here today. And then I have some Heart Wanted ads. If you want to volunteer, we're reinventing our program, so anyone can serve, and more information on that is coming later, but just start to think about how you might want to serve in the community. I consider the volunteers to be the guardian angels of what we teach here, so it's a very, very beautiful and privileged place to be, a volunteer. And then we're starting just a really simple program of calling all extroverts. If you're an extrovert, go up to somebody today and help them feel welcome and chat with them and ask them, what's your favorite movie? What's your favorite song? What brought you to the church? Would you like to donate some underwear? Like that, okay. And then after service, we've got several options. You can speak with people, and you can also pray with a practitioner. The practitioners generally wear white stoles, and they come up here and you do 1-minute miracles with them. It's a great way to pray, move into that crazy love with them. You can also get free books and puzzles in one of the shelves in our bookstore. We've got books for sale. We're serving coffee and tea. And if you want to bring in some wrapped treats to share, that would be lovely. One more thing before we go, and I don't want to end with this, but it's something that we should know about. And that is, many of you know that one of our congregants passed away, Fred Mondragon, who was a beloved, beloved member of the center. And I hesitated as to whether or not to end on that, but really, he had such a magnificent life. And he went out like he wanted to go out. And we know that he is really in a powerful and beautiful place. He transcended a body that was no longer able to support the power of his spirit. And there will be a service. I just don't know when yet, but wanted to let you know that. So let us pray now, and we'll go ahead and turn within. And just holding a space for all of the love and all of the loss and everything that has been shared in this service. Whatever hearts have been opened, whatever minds have been expanded, we just again rest again. We remind ourselves again, in case we've forgotten, that we really are one, that we are one with awareness, that we are awareness. Even saying that we're one with it sounds like there's awareness in something else, but there isn't. There is only awareness. There's only consciousness. There's only love, and we are that. So think how that feels. Feel how that feels. Be how that feels. And I invite you to bring that presence and that awareness with you into the world today and always, knowing that you are blessed and very blessed. Blessed by our community, blessed by your own divine being, blessed by love itself. I am so grateful for this time together, and with deep and powerful gratitude, I release these words into the divine mystery, and together we say, and so it is. Thank you. Namaste.